Hello and welcome to the Merle and Locke podcast. I'm Merle.
And I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by healthy, albeit shameful, helping to pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge.
And more.
And more. Let's get into farming. We were having a conversation about this a little bit earlier. While I was waiting for us to do an episode, I decided, hey, I'm just going to peek into World of Warcraft and see what the haps is, because there's some stuff that's come out that I haven't played yet. With this new announcement of player housing and whatnot, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go play a little bit of catch up. And I started really getting into it, and I started grinding away already. So I was in the Siren Isles. Told you, I said, well, it's mostly just a putzing around, doing dailies, upgrading a new piece of jewelry with socketed gems, and leveling up that ring to get power-ups. And you had mentioned that you had heard there's a lot of mounts to be had from participating in the Siren Isle activities.
That's what I heard. Rumor has it.
Naturally, we both thought about it and we're like, oh, more grinding.
More farming.
More farming.
It's what we love. Right there next to painting and then watching it dry.
So as far as farming goes, we thought we could really get into it with our experience in doing so, participating in that. How rewarding is it? Is it worth it? Let me work it.
Put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
Oh,
jeez.
Okay. Anyway, there's plenty of things that we've done a lot of farming on, and it's mostly been MMOs. I know we often do it in a lot of survival games as well, but I don't feel like me and you play too many survival games together, do we?
No, I think you are the one that plays the majority of the survival games. I tend to stay away from it. I think the only survival-esque game that you and I ever played was Astroneer for a long period of time.
Right, we did play a lot of that game, which they do have that DLC out. We'll have to check that out at some point.
We do.
I still haven't purchased it.
I don't remember if I did.
I'm already getting sucked into yet another game, I guess, but such is the way of things.
Such is the way.
As far as MMO goes and comes to farming materials or grinding away at reputation, progression, I wouldn't say it's very fun. It's just something that becomes kind of automatic and it forces you to put more time into the game. But there is this sense of pride at the end of it.
Somewhat, maybe.
Amongst your peers that also participate in that game.
Just for another one of your friends to say, wow, what no life.
Wow. Don't touch grass or something, but...
How long did it take you to get that? Well, that doesn't matter. How long? About 5 years.
It's awful. And I know playing by myself, I probably wouldn't do it as much. I feel like it's, at least in my case, for your friends. It's just to maybe get one up on them or to help out in one way or another. Like with survival games, you're participating in a game with a friend and you start farming materials in order to craft particular things. You do that for your little community that you have amongst your friends in whatever game it is. Everybody's always very deeply appreciative. Well, not always. Sometimes they're like, oh, okay, cool. And it's like, oh, all right, well.
The farming materials aspect of like a survival game, right? The worst part is the grinding, getting all the materials, but imagine the game like Astroneer, right? Where eventually they introduced, it kind of does it itself. You can send a tram around to collect the materials that you've acquired.
That's very rewarding.
It's very rewarding. Once it's done, once you have everything built and everything's working as it should, now what? Now you're sitting there like, okay, I did everything I was supposed to do.
Yeah. I feel like that's what we ran into in Astroneer because we did grind out all the achievements and then we automated everything and then we just had nothing left to do.
We beat the game. Well, I mean, not necessarily. We didn't beat the game. We didn't even start up all the. Well, did we start up all the planets?
Yeah, we did absolutely everything. Even the little story mode that they have, we saved it for last. Got the last costume or skin for completing the game. It's so satisfying once you get to that point, but after that, it just falls off and you leave. It's a pity. But let's talk more so on MMOs, I think, because it's constant, always something to farm for.
And the thing with MMOs, then they have the percentage rate of which something might drop. And unless it's 99%, I hate it. I want it. I want the thing. You said that there's a thing here, and you're telling me I can't have that thing? That's crazy. It's like that damn invincible mount that I still haven't gotten. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to farm that damn thing. And then I see every Joe Schmo flying around on their invincible mount. What do I get? I got this piece of armor that I've collected already 500 times.
I remember all that time that we spent going to different raids, farming for mounts and trying to get those drops. And good Lord, like it's fun just putzing around with your buddies, bullshitting along the way. But then, once you get to the end and there's that little gamble, you throw the dice and you're like, bah, snake eyes. And you get nothing out of it. But as far as MMOs go, the most memories I have as far as farming is farming for materials to get mounts. My character in World of Warcraft, or my main, is an engineer. So there's some mounts that I can make, and I can have the mount for myself. I can give them to buddies, and then they can unlock the mount as well. And the amount of time I spent collecting materials, good Lord. I realize a lot of materials you can just get from the auction house, naturally an exorbitant price, but
yeah, lazy man house.
But golly, I don't know why it is, but I'm just cheap. I'm like, I could just do it myself. And then I spend the next week trying to farm all that material, and I could have just done it instantly by going to the auction house. I don't know, maybe hard-headed about it, stubborn, but...
Or you could spend even more money and give your account away to some stranger who promises to get you all the gold and whatnot that you want.
Is that a thing? Do people do that?
Well, that was a thing. That was a thing in WoW's Reckoning when I played Ground, Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King. There were so many bot accounts. So what they would do is they get like a level 1 character, walk them from either the starting area in Elwyn Forest. They would walk all the way to Stormwind so that they can post in trade chat and say, hey, here's a website to go to. If you pay this amount of money, we can get you X amount of gold and however many levels. And people would do it. It got so bad to the point that eventually Blizzard's like, we need to do something about it.
I know they started hiring bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters?
Because this was a thing that happened recently, and I started seeing little notifications of it on social media where people would go out and they would kill these bots because they were hired to do so. And they would call themselves bounty hunters.
I want to kill bots.
Find suspicious looking movement, and they would pick them out and be like, that's a bot. I love that that's a thing. I don't know how it's organized, if it's just particular guilds that do it, or if people are actually rewarded in some way by the company itself, which I doubt it.
Sign me up. Give me the information. I'll pick them out. Some might say it might get a little too big for my head, but you can't have a role like that. You're just going to get rid of everyone. No, I promise I won't do that.
I also have been thinking about, as far as farming for materials for crafting, I'll know where a certain material is found, like what continent, what zone I could find it in. And then I'll go there and I'll start seeing it randomly. Then I'm quick to do a Google search and be like, what's a good route to kind of min-max your efforts?
To patrol the best outcome.
To get the most materials for. I'd find a good route and be like, oh, that's awesome. I'll just go around this route and I'll get all these materials and I'll be done in no time. But then I find God knows how many people doing the same exact thing. And I'm like, of course. So much, even in like old content, right? Trying to upgrade all my engineering in old content to get particular mounts for myself and my buddies. People are still doing those routes and getting all that material. I remember going into Northrend. There was a particular amount that I wanted that I could craft. So I started doing these routes and whatnot, and it took forever. I finally got all the materials. Then I was like, oh crap, I don't even have the recipe yet. How do I get the recipe? And I looked it up, and it was a reputation grind to get the recipe for it. I was like, no.
More farming, but worse. It's potentially worse. Really depends on what's going on.
If there's an event going on, sometimes you can get better reputation or reputation perks to be able to upgrade that faster.
You do it on a human character. Well, at least, I don't know if they still have that passive or not, because humans used to have a passive where their diplomacy was better than everyone else. So they would get at least 10% more to the reputation grind. But I think they got rid of it. I feel like I saw them say something about, well, that's not fair.
A couple people are going to fuss about it, and then it just ruins it for everyone else.
Yeah.
That's how it goes, I guess.
I don't want to be a human character. It's not that bad. You can still make believe.
I've only ever made like one human character. I loved the character. I thought he was great. I had a lot of fun with him. I got him through Shadowlands, but I think I stopped there. I mean, humans, they're okay, but I like these other guys, goofier looking guys better.
Wasn't that your monk?
No, it was my rogue, outlaw rogue. We had made characters that we were taking through Battles for Azeroth. It was a fun character, but ultimately kind of abandoned him. What has been your most agonizing bit of farming that you can remember?
That's a tough question, because you know that I probably spent the most time trying to grind away at things, and I just refuse to do rep grinds half the time. Even if I see the little thing that's like, we're 50% reputation, and I'm like, it's not that much to me. I can't do it. I can't.
I think my most agonizing memories of farming or grinding was doing the Legion reputation. I spent so much time in Legion trying to get everything up to Exalted. Ever since that, it killed it for me. I was like, never again.
Because at the time, like, you had to get Exalted so that you could get the new races that were coming out?
It was that and rep grinding for flying, which I guess you don't have to do that anymore.
No, which of course, like, puts a damper on the people who did spend that time. I get why some people get frustrated with that. They're like, I put so much time and effort just for you to turn around and go, okay, you guys can have it for free now.
Oh, God. It instantly puts a bad taste in your mouth towards new players, right? Where you're like, you don't know the shit we've been through.
Meanwhile, I kind of sit back like the older man who's like, yep, I've been through this storm before.
Back in my day.
There'll be another storm. People won't like it. I'll still be here.
I'll still be putzing them out.
Oh, look, here comes another storm. Pops up in my umbrella.
I shitted myself. If you enjoy the Merle and Locke podcast, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/MerleandLocke or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.